Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to another exciting design tutorial. Motion graphics tutorial with UXmate. Yes, in this video we are going to explore After Effects, like how to get started with After Effects in around 10-15 minutes and create your first animated video using After Effects, or you can say motion graphics video using After Effects. You can use After Effects for character animations, you can use it for motion graphics, you can use it for the title or intro animations, you can use it to create VFX, visual effects, you can use it to create camera tracking, then also you can use it for the background eraser in videos, you can use it for wire removal, you can use it for lots of different applications. Like, it has a wide variety of use, you can say. So it depends upon your project and requirement, how do you want to use it. We will just focus on the basics as of now, and then with the time we would be diving deep into the After Effects. So first time when you open After Effects, you'll be seeing something like this, where you can see create like this. This is your composition panel, where you are going to see your all work which you are going to do on your videos. Everything each and every composition is going to be here. Basically, this is your play area, you can say. Left hand side is your project panel, where you can put in all your assets of your projects. And then this part at the bottom, highlighted with this blue line, is basically your timeline, right? So whatever assets you are going to import in your project, you have to take them onto the timeline. Whatever compositions you would be creating, you have to take them you have to bring them on the timeline, and then you can get started with your animation and everything. On the right hand side, you can see a lot of stacked panels. If you see, like, we have info, then we have audio, then we have preview, like this is RAM preview basically. Then we have effects and presets, so you can access all the built-in effects which After Effects has. Then we have libraries, so it is for your shared libraries on Creative Cloud. Then we have character, which is more on the text related settings, you can say. Like, you can create you can change font sizes and like all text related settings here. Then we have paragraph. It is again for the text, but it is for the paragraphical texts. Then we have tracker. It is going to be used for camera tracking and stabilizing the footages. Probably will not go into this as of now. Then we have content aware fill. It is one of the new feature which recently Adobe has introduced, I guess around 2022 or mid 2022, you can say. It is an AI based feature where you just have to define a target, and then After Effects automatically try to fill in those frames using AI engine. And then we have align, which is again used to align your layers and assets on the in your composition. Great. So this section is kind of a third-party plugin which I have, which is Springify. It is not a built-in plugin though, but it is kind of a useful plugin which adds this extra exaggeration or a springy effect to your animations. So we can create less keyframes, and then you can simply use Springify, and you can create those springy and natural animations using this plugin. But definitely we don't need plugin at day one. So what we'd be doing, we'd be creating a new composition, right? So we'll be clicking on this new composition from here, or you can go into the composition menu, and then you can create a new composition. Great. So let's create a new composition. Let's define the size for the composition, 1920 by 1080. You can define any sizes you want. It depends on your requirement. How do you want to create the animations, for what resolutions you want to create. So let's create a 15-second long animation and then have it as a 0. So what you can do, you can choose from the presets as well. There are a lot of presets After Effects provide. Okay, and then you can also set the height and width manually. If you don't know about it, then make sure before creating the video for what displays or for what resolutions you want to create the videos, because this is very crucial thing. You have to define the dimensions at the beginning of itself. You can definitely change your compositions, but then your assets in the composition might be then you might need to do a lot of rework with the animation. Then you can see the resolution will keep it full, will not change anything. Then we have start time code. again we'll not pay much attention here, because it is something, when you want to start your composition, let's say after 15 seconds, then you can give a start time code. It is more for the editing perspective. We don't need it. We'll start composition from 0th second, and then we'll be having duration of 15 seconds. We'll be having background color as black, which is default. We'll not go into advanced and 3D render thing as of now. Let's just click on OK to create a composition. So now your first composition is ready. What you can do, you can double click on this project panel to import any of the files in After Effects. You can simply drag and drop any of the footages in the project panel. It will import those footages or those assets. You can create folders here to keep your project panel organized. Let me just call it as footages, for example, and let me just move this into the folder. So by this you can keep your project panel organized, so anyone like whenever you hand over your file, anyone can easily understand, okay, where are the assets in the project hierarchy. Now this is what our timeline is, kind of something important panel of the After Effects, where you would be doing all your animations and editing related to the video. So let me just bring in this footage here. Let me just mute the audio, because I'll not be focusing on the audio here. So if you see, by the way, this video is from my another channel where I do have a poetry show, and I do write Urdu poetry and ghazal, so you can definitely visit. I'll put the link in the description, so do subscribe to the other channel as well, guys. Well, if you aren't subscribed UXmate 8, definitely you have to do it now, because you would be seeing a lot of exciting tutorials around design, around motion graphics, around video editing, and a lot of things. Great. So what we have learned so far, we have learned like basics of the After Effects, like what are the different panels in the After Effects, how to import any footage, how to create your first composition, how to get your assets into the timeline. So what you have to do, you have to simply drag and drop it in the timeline. So it is kind of merged here, where you have layers and the timeline there itself. So you can see all your layers, and then you will be seeing duration or time indicator, or like a time range for this particular layer, and you can see this time indicator. We also call it as CTA, CTI, current time indicator, which you can scrub through the timeline, and you can see, okay, something is going there. So this video is kind of pretty large, and I don't want to do anything on this video as of now. It is already published, so I'll just delete it. I'll just delete it from the composition. Okay, great. So what we'll be doing here, we'll be creating a basic text animation as of now. We'll not go into much details. So what we'll be doing, we'll clicking on the text tool, and then we'll simply typing something here, test title. So you'll be seeing, okay, nothing is visible because it has a black color. So let's go into the character panel and change the color to white, so we can see the title. Great. So now we can see the title here, and you can see you can change all font details and all. Let's just make it Helvetica bold and somewhere around 60 pixels as of now. Let's get started with it. So what I'll be doing before applying any animations, I'll change its what we say, like the pivot point, because I don't want to animations to be pivoted from this bottom left corner. So how can I do it? I can use this pan behind tool, and I can move this pivot point wherever I want. Short key or hotkey for this is Y. So you can hit Y on your keyboard, and then you can activate this pan behind tool. Let me just again switch back to my pick tool or move tool, which is the short key for V, for which the short key is V. So yes, now we have successfully moved our pivot point to the center. Now how we'd be doing, we'd be definitely going into the custom animations, but before that, let's quickly see the presets. So when you go into when we go into effects and presets, or you can also see animation presets, right? And in animation presets, you can see a lot of different presets are there. We'll be going into the text, and then in text you can see, like, we have animate in, out, 3D text, blur. Let's use animate in for now. and let's say drop in by character, you just have to drag and drop it on your text layer in the composition, or you can drag and drop it in your timeline as well. So when you drop your effect, the animation is created. Now let's just play this. How to play this? Now you have to hit spacebar on your keyboard, right? So when you hit spacebar, it starts the preview or RAM preview of your video or your composition, right? So now you can see my text is animating automatically, right? So it's great, like you have created your first animation in After Effects. Now how to edit this animation, or where can I see keyframes for this animation? So what you have to do, you can see this arrow here where you can expand the layer. So when you expand this layer, like there are a lot of settings which can be which are like kind of layer specific things. So when you expand this text, you can see there is this animator 1 created automatically for you, and then you can change these keyframes, or basically position of them to change the duration of your animation. So as of now it is taking almost 3 seconds. Let's say I want to make it a little bit quicker, and I want it around, let's say, 1 second. So I'll be just moving this keyframe, like by selecting and like holding and dragging it around the timeline. You can change the duration of the keyframes. So now you can see this animation is much faster, right? So let's just stretch it a little bit, and let's see, like now you'll be seeing a slower animation. Okay, so I don't want this preset animation. I want to create something myself, or let's say I want to create a pop-in animation, or I want to change the scale, or I want to move it in, or like whatever you want to do. Let's say, so let me just undo the effects which I have added here. Okay, and now what I'll be doing, I'll be same, like you can go in this, and then you can maybe like go into the text, but I don't want in the text. Like you can still go and have a lot of animation properties here as well, but we'll not focus them as of now. What we'll be doing, we'll be going into the transform, and now you can see position, scale, rotation, and opacity. Okay, so these are different elements which you can basically animate in the After Effects. Like wherever you see this stopwatch, you can animate those properties. So how would be animating this? Let's say I want to create a fade in animation of this text. So what I'll be doing, let's say I want this to be visible at let's say first second, right? So I'll take my current time indicator CTI on 1 second, and I'll click on this stopwatch on the opacity. So now it has created a keyframe for me. Now I'll go back in the timeline and I'll make it 0, right? So now you can see when I play this, it fades in. Okay, so we have created our custom animation as well. But let's say I don't want this opacity animation, and I can get rid of this. So how to get rid of this? You can go to whichever position you want, like whichever keyframe you want. So let's say if you are on the 0th keyframe, and then again you hit this stopwatch, you will be removing the animation, but your value would be 0. Let's say you don't want that, you want your like opacity value as 100. Definitely you can change it, that's not a worry. But now if you do like when you click on the stopwatch, it will set it to the 100 by default. And let's just test it out. Let's say if you are on 0, and when you click on this stopwatch, it has made your opacity to 0 because we were on that particular keyframe. So let's just make it 100 again. I'll just add 100. Great. So we have like opacity back to 100. Now what I'll be doing, I'll be creating a scale animation, and I'll be creating a pop-in effect, right? So again, I'll be doing it, let's say around a second, or kind of 1.5 second as my entry point. I'll add a keyframe on the scale, and I'll move it back in the timeline around a second, and then I'll make it 0. Okay, so when I play this animation, you can see my text is scaling up. But if you see, this timing is kind of off, and I don't want this long animation. Let's say I want a crispier animation, so I'll make it a bit smaller, or a shorter animation. And now when I play, it suddenly comes in. So now what we'll be doing, we'll be adding easing to this, ease in, ease out. By this, you can create a smooth animation. So let me just hit F9 on the keyboard, and it will create your ease in ease out effect to your like keyframe. So easy ease in we call it. So now if you see, it has a nice ease in and ease out effect, right? So what you can do further, you can go into the curve editor, you can change the curve, you can do a lot of things here. Definitely I don't want to get into much details in the day one. So now if you see, you can create those nice animation effects. You can exaggerate the curve a little bit. You can go to let's say what we say, like edit value graph, and then you can change the value graph a little bit, and then you can create anticipation as well, like when it stops, right? Then I guess it seems a bit faster. Then you can stretch it out a little bit, and your animation is done. So how to so as of now, what we have seen how to create a composition, how to add text in our composition, how to animate it using presets, and how to animate it using manual keyframes. You can do it for all of the elements here. Let's say you want to animate the position as well. Once it is popped in, and let's say you want to move it a little bit down. So what you will be doing, same thing. Let's say I want start the animation from here itself. So I'll click on the position, I'll move my cursor wherever I want on the timeline, and I'll then change the position values. So now if you see, it will come in and then it will animate. Let's say I want to move those like the entire animation a little bit further in the timeline. I can select both keyframes by dragging and drawing a bounding box around them, and I can move those keyframes on the timeline. I'll just make it a bit smaller, okay? And sorry, you can also just move your layers as well. You can add multiple layers here, and then you can move those layers in the layer panel as well. But let's not go into much details, because I just want to you guys to understand the workflow of this. So let's again make a quick easy ease in animation here, and I'll just adjust the curve. Let's say I'll adjust the speed curve. Great. So now let's see this animation. Okay. So now what we have to do, we have to export this composition, or we have to render a video out of After Effects. So as of now, whatever you have created in the After Effects has your layers, your compositions, your keyframes, your different effects piled up here. Now we want to create a flat video out of this. So that's what we call it as a rendering process. So how would be rendering the video? We'll be going to again in the file menu. Make sure you have in the active composition, like comp 1. You can create multiple compositions, but make sure you are in your active selected composition, and then you can go in and you can click on export and then add to render queue. Okay. So when you add your composition to render queue, it automatically opens up the render queue on the same place, and then you can define the different rendering settings. So let's say you want to change any of these settings. You can simply click on any of these settings, and you can open a dialog for this, where you can change the video export settings. So as of now, what we'll be doing, we'll be exporting a QuickTime movie. Okay, so I'll select QuickTime as it is. I want RGB, I don't want opacity or alpha in this, so I'll be keeping it as RGB. I'll keep I don't have any audio, so I can keep it off as well, just to save some bits of the file. Let's make it off as of now, and then okay, rest of the things looks good to me. Let's just click on OK. Now where do you want to save this file? So you have this output to option here, and now where you can click on this and you can specify a location for this. Let's say I'll be saving it on the desktop itself. And then once you are done with your settings, you can see this render button is enabled for you. When you click on render, After Effects will start rendering your video, and it will automatically go through the entire frames of your composition, and it will create a MOV or whatever format as output you have selected. Yes, now our rendering is completed. Rendering time, guys, depends upon your complexity of layers, your complexity of effects, how complex or your animation is. Have you used expressions in your animation and all those things. Based upon that, your rendering time will be different. So now let's just bring me this this recently exported comp1 which we did right now, and let's just play it out. So now you can see your animation is nice and crisply exported into a MOV format. I hope guys you have enjoyed this tutorial. Stay tuned, we would be going through a lot of different After Effects tutorials where we would be creating motion graphics and title intro animations. Slowly we may go into the VFX as well. If you guys are interested, write your comments in the comment box below, and definitely do subscribe and share this video.